Oddly enough, stories by Bruce Coville. Part 2 of The Box story. We left off when Michael had a car crash. Here we go. When Michael woke up, he was in the hospital. The first thing he asked for was his box, but it was not there. Michael jumped out of bed. It took 3 nurses, 2 doctors to wrestle him back into it. They gave him a shot to make him sleep. That night, when the hospital was quiet, Michael snuck out of bed and got his phone. It was long way. It was a long way to where he had the accident, and he had to walk the whole distance. He searched for hours under the light of a bright full moon until finally he found the box. It was caked with mud, and another beautiful corners had been flattered in, but none of the carvings were broken. And when he held it into his ear, he could hear something moving inside. When the nurse came to check him in the morning, she found Michael sleeping peacefully with a dirty box beside him on the bed. She searched out to take it, but his hand wrapped around the box and held it in a grip of steel. He did not even wake up. When Michael would have a hard time paying the hospital bill, but one day a man came up to their house and saw some of his paintings. He asked if he could buy one. Another person heard about them, and before long Michael was selling many paintings. He quit his night job and began to make his living as an artist, but he was never able to paint a picture of the angel that looked the way it should. One night, when Michael was almost 30, he heard the voice again. "Give me the box," he cried. The tones so strong and stern. Then Michael was afraid that he would obey them, but he closed his eyes, and in his mind he saw his angel. He paid no attention to the voice at all. The next morning, Michael went to his easel and began to paint. It was the most beautiful picture he had ever made, but it still did not satisfy him. The voice came after Michael 7 times that year, but he was never tempted to answer again. Michael and his wife had 2 children. They loved them very much. The children were always curious about the box their father carried, and one day when Michael was napping, the oldest child tried to open it. Michael woke and saw what was happening. For the first time in his memory, he lost his temper. He raised his hand to strike his son, but the face of his child, he suddenly saw the face of the angel he had met only once long ago, and the anger died within him. After that day, the children left the box alone. Time went on. The children grew up, went to their own houses. Michael and his wife grew old. The box suffered another or 2 accidents. It was battered now. Even the carefully polishing Michael gave it very night did not hide the fact that the carvings were growing thin from the pressure of his hand against them so many hours a day. Once, when they were very old, Michael's wife said to him, "Do you really think the angel will come back for his box?" "Hush, my darling," said Michael, putting his finger against his lips. And she never knew if Michael believed the angel would come back or not. After a time, she grew sick and died, and Michael was left alone. Everyone in his town knew who he was. When he could not hear, they called him Crazy Michael and rolled their fingers around their ears and whispered that he had carried the box from he was 8 years old. Of course, nobody really believed in such a silly story, but they all knew Michael was crazy. Even so, in their hearts, they wished they had a secret in enduring the one of the crazy Michael carried. One night, when Michael was almost 90 years old, the angel returned to him, asked for him for the box. Is it really you? Cried Michael. He struggled to his elbows to swing at his face above him. Then he could see that it was indeed the angel, who had not changed in 80 years, while he had grown so old. At last he said softly, "Where have you been all this time, angel?" "I have been working," said the angel. "Are you waiting?" "And waiting," he said. He knelt by Michael's bed. Have you been faithful?" "I have," whispered Michael. "Give me the box, please." Under the pillow beside his head, the battered box lay waiting. Michael pulled it out and extended it to the angel. It was not as beautiful as when you first gave it to me," he said, lowering his head. "It does not matter," the angel said. He took the box from Michael's hand, holding it carefully. He stared at it as he could see what was inside it. Then he smiled. "It is almost ready." Michael smiled too. "What is it?" he asked, the face glowing with happiness. "Tell me what it is at last." "I cannot," whispered the angel sadly. Michael's smile crumbled. "Then tell me this," he said after a moment. "Is it important?" he asked. Yeah, his voice was desperate. "It will change the world," replied Angel. Michael leaned back against his pillow. "Then surely I will know what it is when this has come to pass," he said, smiling once again. "No, you will not know," answered the angel. "But if it is so important, why that it will change the world, then you have changed the world, Michael. How many people know that?" The angel shimmered and began to disappear. Michael stretched out his hand. "Wait," he cried. The angel reached out and he took Michael's withery hand, then held it tightly on his own. "You have done well," he whispered. He kissed Michael softly on the forehead. Then he was gone. Story number 1. Part number 2. Done. After we read the book, oddly enough, story number 1, The Box, what do we learn from it? Of course, at first, if you guys may, please or not, it's your choice, please write a summary. What was the box about? Of course, I will not show you, but you may read it. You can pause the video and then read it. So if you guys think I have a lot of questions for you, you can pause and answer it on the comments, if you please. The first thing is, how old is Michael when the angel comes back? I'll let you guys answer it for 5 seconds in the comments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you answered 88 years old when the angel came back, that is correct. Because the angel gave him the box when he was 8 years old, and the angel came back when he was 80 years later. That means 88 years old. Second question. The voice that Michael heard. 3 choices. 1. It was a voice. 2. It was a demon. 3. It was a nightmare. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you answered a voice, you are correct, because the story tells us explicitly it is a voice. Last question, the important one. What does the story tell us? 1. Be responsible. 2. Keep promises. 3. Always be respectful to others. 1, 2, 3. If you answered keeping promises, it is correct, because Michael promised that he will not open the box to the angel and not to open the box. And he did. In many fairy tales, if someone gives you a box, you will open it. But Michael kept the promise for 88 years old. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching my videos. I'll see you guys later.